In the first section, we discussed about the evolution of big data. We saw how companies like Google use big data to learn about us and about our behavior. However, algorithms like RamBrain, for example, will never exist without Google's ability to store, process and analyze, well, big data, I guess. I mean, think again about all those videos, emails, online behavior, social media activity, photos, first-party data, third-party data, and so on. The thing is, the power of big data comes not only from the quantity and quality of data you have, but also in the ability to store and process this data. In brief, all this data without the ability to analyze it would be of no help to Google. One example that shows the importance of data processing capacity comes from Axiom, the company we talked about in the section on big data. In 1983, the company entered in a partnership with Citibank. At this point, one important issue occurred. According to Axiom's founder, Charles Morgan, the challenge became managing growth and the lack of computing capacity. This challenge was in fact acknowledged by Barack Obama as early as 2012, when he included in his budget 126 million funds for developing exascale computing. In simple terms, an exascale computer is a supercomputer. 10 years later, McKinsey & Company reported that the first exascale computer was already being launched in May 2022. Its name is Frontier. It is currently the fastest supercomputer in the world and processes data at speed of 1.1 exaflops. Basically, it's fast, really fast. Equally important to note is that over the next few years, Frontier is expected to almost double its already crazy processing speed, up to 2 exaflops. So this takes me to the second factor that contributes to changing the bargaining power between Google and digital marketers. I am talking of course about the rise of cloud computing and of the crazy increase in computer power over time. This increase in processing power and speed provides Google with the ability to store and manipulate large amounts of data. So now you have huge amounts of big data and equally huge storage and processing power of this data. Now, for a clear example of the increase in computational power, just consider a few stats provided on the internet livestats.com. 1,000 computers contribute to answering a single Google search query in less than 0.2 seconds. But to truly understand what this increase in processing power meant for Google, just think about this. In 1999, it was taking Google 1 month to crawl an index of 50 million pages. Only 3 years later, in 2012, it took Google less than 1 minute to crawl the same number of pages. So, in 3 years, Google's processing power went from 1 month to 1 minute for the same number of pages. And this was in 2012, more than 20 years ago. Now, to really understand the importance of computational power, just think GenAI. In a Harvard Business Review article, Ajay Kumar and Tom Davenport explain, I quote, GPT-3 has 175 billion model parameters and was trained on over 500 billion words of text. The recent class of generative AI models requires a 10 to 100-fold increase in computing power to train models over the previous generation, depending on which model is trained. Those overall demand is doubling about every 6 months. In brief, generative AI would not be possible without huge advancements in computational power. Of course, this also comes with a huge impact on environment, something that not many people seem to consider at the moment. The same article points out, I quote, researchers have argued that training a single large language deep learning model, such as OpenAI's GPT-4 or Google's Palm, is estimated to use around 300 tons of CO2. For comparison, the average person is responsible for creating around 5 tons of CO2 a year, though the average North American generates several times that amount. Other researchers calculated that training a medium-sized generative AI model using a technique called neural architecture search used electricity and energy consumption equivalent to 626,000 tons of CO2 emissions, or the same CO2 emissions as driving 5 average American cars throughout their lifetimes. Training a single BERT model, a large language model developed by Google, from scratch would require the same energy and carbon footprint as a commercial transatlantic flight. Now, that's a real concern, and it's just going to get bigger given the exponential advancements in Gen AI technology. Look, The point of this session is not to hit you with cool stats. It would really be pointless to you from a strategic perspective. For our purpose, which is understanding the future of digital marketing, what we need to understand is this. The amount and quality of data collected about us at an individual level will continue to skyrocket. The same trend applies to the amount of research, studies, and other similar types of data available to algorithms in order to provide context to the data collected about us. That's basically user intent. And there is no lack of storage or processing power for this data either. Combined, big data and exascale processing power will enable companies like Google to build our digital files in a highly accurate way. In fact, based on this, it is very likely that algorithms will know us and understand us significantly better than we can even understand ourselves. Look, it really is this simple. As humans, we have neither the ability to access our unconscious mind, nor the storage and processing capacity to draw accurate conclusions on the causes of our behavior. There is no doubt that given sufficient data, algorithms are already more likely to make better decisions for us than we will. In fact, in many narrow subjects and fields, they already do. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next session.